A very interesting speech by an African American in the midst of mayhem. African American. I don't know why they call them African Americans and the European Americans are just called Americans. Do you think about that? Like when you're black in America, you call African American. But when you're white, you're not called European American, you call American. So that means that white Americans are more American than African Americans. But historically, white Americans are not more American than African American. Okay, anyway, we're going to talk about some... Do you notice that? It's crazy, isn't it? Let's go straight. This brother has something very interesting to say. Let's watch.
I'm supposed to believe that Xi Jinping is this evil dictator when the United States is actually responsible for a three-front world war? Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan, the three fronts of World War III, and idiots like you are trying to tell me...
Oh, that's hot. Let's go.
Are trying to tell me China is the actual responsible one for World War III? I'm supposed to believe China is surveilling our kids? We have a mass surveillance state here. It's called fascism, okay? The NSA spies on everything we do. The United States government already spies on me. This incoherent idiot up on the stage is no different than the incoherent babbler named Biden, who probably isn't running our government. Okay, I can't believe Richie Torres has you come and testify at our government, in our Congress. You're a disgrace, okay? There is an alternative to the world right now. We don't need to have World War III. We can actually work with China. Did you know that? We can work with China every time they come. They offer a peaceful solution. Listen, don't start World War III. Thanks, choking me. You can't manipulate the American population anymore. People will not fall for your antics. We can join the BRICS. We can work with the people. The fascism and the tyranny has to end here. We don't need to go to war. I'm pleading with people. I'm pleading with the American population. Don't listen to the idiots on stage.
It takes a lot of courage to manifest oneself like this. And my question number one is, when he's taken to the corner, what happens to him? Do people follow up with these people? I mean, you can come forward and express yourself in a very brutal manner and shock the world with your words. But when you go into the corner, what happens to these people? Sometimes they're very dangerous. Okay, I think it's very interesting. You've watched this. Let's watch again, okay? We're going to watch one more time, and I'm going to make comments right after. Let's go.
I'm supposed to believe that Xi Jinping is this evil dictator when the United States is actually responsible for a three-front world war? Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan.
So this is clearly a meeting where government people need to talk to people. You know, war, you don't just declare war. You need to convince the people, okay? You need to convince civilians, civil society, that the war is necessary for the country. Now, how can the war be necessary to the country? It's if there's a situation or some people that poses a threat to the national security, or you can actually create a story saying, well, some people somewhere there are a threat to our national security. We need to engage ourselves into bringing funds together so we can go fight them. Okay? And when you bring the fear across the people and people hear you, if people are fearful enough, if you talk about Saddam Hussein like they did, Saddam Hussein having weapons of mass destruction, they were scared Saddam Hussein would bombard Europe and destroy everybody. So they had to stop it right before he did anything like that, without necessarily having proof that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction.
I take the threat very seriously. I take the fact that he develops weapons of mass destruction very seriously. I remember the fact that he has invaded 2 countries before. I know for a fact that he's poisoned his own people. He doesn't believe in the worth of each individual. He doesn't believe in public dissent.
So before they do that, what they do, they would come and have a chat, have a discussion, try to convince everybody. Like they try to convince everybody in the United Nations saying Saddam Hussein's got weapons of mass destruction. We need to go and destroy him. When people were reluctant, they said, you're either with us or you're against us. So it's a way to say, you know what, if you're not with us, if you don't agree with our opinion, you are our enemy. And they went to war. So they're trying to convince people to go to war somewhere. And this man say, enough is enough. We will not accept this. We don't have to go to war. Let's go.
The three fronts of World War III, and idiots like you are trying to tell me China is the actual responsible one for World War III?
Exactly. Again, they tell people that China is dangerous. China is accused of trying to drown the United States. China is trying to be a big power. China is the enemy.
We have the largest military in the world. We spend over $1 trillion every year. And the state, your state of Missouri, is over half of people are in poverty. China is not our enemy. The climate crisis is. We need to be this.
The bottom line is this. The more they say China, 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 even though you don't want to believe it, you will start slowly believing that China is the enemy. Do you remember when we were kids and we watched movies? There were always the soldiers of America and the Vietnamese. Which one were the good ones? Which one were the bad ones? Do you remember? Without me having to say. Which one were the good ones in the movies when American soldiers were fighting Russians or Japanese or Vietnamese? Do you remember? The good ones were Americans. Americans were always the good ones. And we grew up to believe that these people were bad without necessarily having to understand what was happening in the world. That is propaganda for you. The more you hear Russia's bad, the more you hear China's bad, the more you hear Vietnam is bad, you start to believe that Vietnam is bad. But if you look at the story of the war in Vietnam, they did nothing. They were just trying to live their life in their country. When Americans came to their country trying to control their country, that's when they went to war. But in the movies, you see Rambo, Commando, and all these other guys, finish, go, and they won the war. In reality, they didn't even win the war. Let's continue.
Supposed to believe China's surveilling our kids? We have a mass surveillance state here. It's called fascism, okay? The NSA...
They have a mass surveillance system in America. It's not China. Very recently, there was talks saying that China was surveilling TikTok and they wanted to ban TikTok in America. So civilians and normal people could not use TikTok because TikTok was not controlled by the American government.
Said today, as you often say, that you live in Singapore. Of what nation are you a citizen?
Singapore.
Are you a citizen of any other nation?
No, Senator.
Have you ever applied for Chinese citizenship?
Senator, I served my nation in Singapore.
No,
I did not.
Do you have a Singaporean passport?
Yes, and I served my military for two and a half years in Singapore.
Do you have any other passports from any other nations?
No, Senator.
Your wife is an American citizen. Your children are American citizens.
That's correct.
Have you ever applied for American citizenship?
No, not yet.
Okay. Have you ever been a member of the Chinese Communist Party?
Senator, I'm Singaporean. No.
Have you ever been associated or affiliated with the Chinese Communist Party?
No, Senator. Again,
Okay.
I'm Singaporean.
So the difference is, if you're saying TikTok is controlled by China, isn't Facebook controlled by America and YouTube and everything else? It's the same thing, right? So the problem with TikTok is we cannot control what's happening in TikTok because it's Chinese. They're surveilling us. So these guys say, well, they maybe are surveilling us, but we have a surveillance system in America. They know everything we do. It's not different from TikTok that you're accusing right now.
Okay? The NSA spies on everything we do. The United States government already spies on me. This incoherent idiot up on the stage is no different than the incoherent babbler named Biden.
Wow, he insulted him right there. Incoherent idiot, an incoherent babbler. Biden, shame.
Probably isn't running our government.
See,
I can't believe Richie Torres
Biden is not running the government.
spy at our government, in our Congress. You're a disgrace, okay? There is an alternative to the world right now. We don't need to have World War III. We can actually work with China.
We don't need World War III. Exactly. We don't need a war in Ukraine. No, Ukrainians again have the right to defend themselves like everybody else. But we do not need World War III through that. The bottom line is the Ukrainians and the Russians, through Turkey, had come to an agreement. They were going to understand and listen to one another until Boris Johnson went to Ukraine to push his agenda. We are moving slowly toward World War III. We do not need that. There's an alternative, like this guy said. We can actually work with China. We can find out, but they don't want that because it's like you have a pizza. If you work with China, it means we're going to share the pizza times two equally. No, we don't want equality. We want to be on top. We want to run. We want to give you a piece while we have the whole pizza. Let's go.
Did you know that? We can work with China every time they come. They offer a peaceful solution. Listen, don't come. Don't start World War III. Thanks, choking me.
See, they're choking him.
Manipulate the American population anymore. People will not fall for your antics. We can join the BRICS. We can work with the people. The fascism and the tyranny has to end here. We don't need to go to war.
Okay, look at my white friend. I'm sorry, I have to put it that way. Look at them. Because they are white. I'm just saying. They are, right? They're not black. They don't care. Look at them. Whereas they're pulling this guy, they're not even looking. It's like, look at that stupid guy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Or he's out of the agenda. He doesn't play by the rule. Choke him. Look, nobody's standing saying, please don't choke him. Put him out, but don't choke him. Do you think if it was a Scandinavian guy speaking like that, they would have let them choke him like that? Somebody would have stood and said, you know what? Put him out, but you don't have to choke him. But because he sounds different, he can be choked. That's fine. Because African Americans are known for being criminals anyway. So the simple fact that you can think that an African American is probably a criminal, so it's fine. If he's being choked, it means he's doing something wrong. Not that he's being choked for nothing. He's probably has done something wrong. That's why they're choking him.
I'm pleading with people. I'm pleading with the American population. Don't listen to the idiots on...
Interesting, fellas. It's always a great pleasure. I want to know what you think about this. Can America work with China and Russia? Can we live in a world of peace? The bottom line is somebody has to sell weapons. And these weapon sellers are very powerful. Somebody has to reconstruct buildings like they've signed a contract in Ukraine to rebuild the houses that have been destroyed. Now, do you want to take that business away from them? If you take that away from them, they can't sell weapons. They can't rebuild houses. What are they going to make money from? Is this even possible? Is World War III inevitable? God bless.